You're listening to Until They Sleep, a podcast where two parents finally get to sit down and discuss all the different things that run through their heads every day because their four kids are finally asleep. Thanks for listening.
Well, my daddy was a strict disciplinarian. When we'd done wrong, he'd strip us butt naked, lay us out in the sun, and cover our bodies with bacon, lean bacon.
Hello and welcome to Until They Sleep. So
this episode,
we'll be talking about papas.
Fathers.
Padre. If you haven't heard, we had that little bonus episode that came out on Sunday. Just a little funny thing that we have been talking about it for a while. So that's nerding out. I thought it was a good idea to put it out, probably for Father's Day weekend or before leading to it. And now we're going to talk about fathers. So that kind of goes hand in hand. I hope you enjoyed it and had fun. I know it was a really long one. There was a lot of things going on.
Almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we bounced around, talked about a lot of random stuff. It's just, the three of us hanging out. Two good friends that I made in the last couple of years. And we have a good time, despite the age difference and everything.
Aren't you the old man?
I'm the old man, yeah. But, I'm still young at heart. So I'm still a kid. And it was just funny, like we talked about everything, as you heard, we talked about making fun of the hobby, making fun of, our friendship, our fantasy football, a lot of goofing around, a lot of laughing, a lot of things that we want to do. And it flew by, and we had been kicking it together for a little while and then turned into a little bit longer. So it happens. It happens. Same thing with us when we record, we sit here and we have a subject that we're going to talk about and then, we're bouncing off the walls and one thing leads to another. Or somehow for the last month we end up with murder mysteries. But
It's just they relate to real life.
Well, yeah, it's life, right?
It is life.
So so it's Father's Day weekend. So I hope that all of you have a good week with your fathers or your father figure, being an uncle or grandfather or a godfather, whatever it might be.
Even a brother.
Yeah, even a big brother. Yeah. So I guess we'll just jump into it and get going. So you say you're going to do the research.
I got some stats, of course, because I had Mother's Day stats. So, of course, I have Father's Day stats.
Okay, so I'm not going to ask you questions. I'm going to let you go with it.
Okay, and then we'll do questions.
I'm not going to let you. I'm going to just, go ahead and educate us.
Okay.
What do you have for Father's Day?
So I'm going to start at the beginning, as my kids like to say. So basically, Father's Day, I was just trying to find information on how far back Father's Day can be traced, or any type of celebration of Father's Day can be traced, because you're always telling me that fathers are not celebrated, and you're not the only one who said it. I've heard it from other fathers or other people in general. So I actually, the oldest relation to Father's Day that I could find was back to, of course, pagan times, the celebration of Lita. It was the pagans celebrated the sun, and the sun was correlated with fathers. So in the celebration of Lita, they would basically do bonfires on top of hilltops and then roll them down into the water. And I think it's funny that they would do bonfires in celebration of fathers when what do a lot of fathers do these days? They go camping and have barbecues.
That is one of the main things that parents that usually have celebration of Father's Day, right?
Yeah. I mean, even we've done it, right? We either go camping or we just have like a little bonfire and just hang out in the backyard. And so that was one of the earliest relations I could find to Father's Day. There was another note I found that allegedly the first Father's Day card was 4,000 years ago, and it was found in what would have been Babylonia at that time, where a youth carved a card to his father wishing him good health and a long life.
That's new to me. I never heard that.
Yeah, so again, this is just some stuff that I found online, some information. And I, of course, will post the links for anybody who wants to look at that information. But coming into recent times and how it became a thing in the States, actually, Father's Day is ranked number 7 on the National Retail Federation's list of holidays. It is below Valentine's Day. And
I think this is number 8, right?
And it's at number 7 on the list I found.
Said 8. I said 18.
You
instead
said
of
way
around
lower,
that,
but
yeah.
the list I found said 7. So, but it's behind Valentine's Day, of course, Christmas, Easter is behind all that, and of course Mother's Day. So, I also found a nice article that it was really pretty. I have to find it again. I lost it, but it basically starts out about how Father's Day is kind of like a participation trophy day. So where dads are we're given a day, for helping to raise the kids. But that's just an article I found. The history I found was that it was first celebrated in the US on June 19th, 1910, but it wasn't until 1972, 58 years after the official Mother's Day, that it became a national holiday.
I know that.
You knew that one. Did you already look it up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So
Richard Nixon made it a holiday.
yes, that's right. It was Richard Nixon. And so I was reading that on July 5th, 1908 was the first event to honor fathers at a Sunday sermon in memory of 362 men who had died in the Fairmont Coal Company mines in Monongah, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, West Virginia. So the sermon was held to honor those men who had died, mostly fathers, a lot of fathers who had passed away. The following year, a lady named Dodd from Spokane, Washington, she went around to local churches, YMCA, shops, and all these different places to try to get support in recognizing dads who have raised their kids, because she herself was one of like 6 kids who had been raised by a single dad, by a widowed dad. So she wanted to celebrate dads who do that. And then it was eventually made into a holiday, but a lot of dads didn't like it. One of the quotes I found was that fathers haven't the same sentimental appeal that mothers have. And also, a lot of dads felt that it attempted to domesticate manliness with flowers and gifts. They saw it as another commercial ploy to make money on things that dads had to pay for themselves. But of course, people who want to sell stuff and people also who wanted to celebrate dads kept pushing for it. So from 1920 to 1930, they tried actually changing it to Parents' Day to celebrate both parents instead of just one or the other. And it actually wasn't until World War II where it was advertised as supporting those fathers who were fighting for the freedom of their country that it started to actually gain traction. And then from World War II forward is when it became more of a recognized holiday that people were more willing to celebrate. And then, of course, Richard Nixon in 1972 did declare it a national holiday on the 3rd Sunday of every June.
Can I touch on what I know?
Go ahead.
So you're talking about 1919, right?
Which one?
The
1910, it
1910?
said. What I found said it was first celebrated in the U.S. on June 19th, 1910, but it wasn't official until 1972.
Right, yeah, that's when Nixon allowed it. That day that you're talking about. So Nora Smart Dot was the lady that started Father's Day on that day, and it's actually celebrated on her father's birthday.
Oh, okay.
Her father was a veteran of the Civil War, and her mother died at childbirth, so it was her and her father had to raise 5 children and her siblings. But the dad, and he was one of the first men, or wasn't to her in her life. It was one of the only men that didn't remarried, so he concentrated on raising
his kids,
his children. Yeah. So then, to honor her father, she had heard about Mother's Day, and she seen
tried to bring
or whatever.
it.
So she said that that's great that mothers are being recognized, especially something like that. But there were fathers like hers, and they also needed.
They deserve to be recognized.
Deserve their recognition. So she did it because of that, and that was on her father's birthday that year.
That I didn't read, so that's okay. That's different.
And I think it was the year that he died too.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I think I could be wrong. That's what I was trying to find right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know because
I didn't find that article.
Yeah, and then I think one of the presidents, whoever the president was at the time, I don't know if it was Calvin Coolidge.
I think
or
it
something.
said Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, Woodrow Wilson, yeah. And then Calvin Coolidge liked the idea and went with it, but it wasn't like a national holiday until Yeah, Nixon made it in the
Mm-hmm.
70s, early 70s.
Yeah, in the 70s. And there was one more note I had. It said in Europe and Latin countries, it's normally celebrated on St. Joseph's Day.
Yeah, Roman
Because,
Catholics.
yeah, because Joseph was Jesus'
Jesus'
stepfather.
father. Yeah.
Yeah, so in recognition of what he did as a
But that's in
stepfather.
March, right?
Yeah, it's celebrated on March 19th.
Yeah, March
Mm-hmm.
19th. Yeah. A lot of the Catholics, I think I had read that too a long time ago, that
Yeah.
they celebrate it. Like, it doesn't go with June, you know, it goes.
But in general, like a lot of articles I found, and even in talking to some people, fathers in other countries aren't always recognized. Like I even asked my boss, who's Japanese, because my stepfather's Japanese, and I had asked my boss, "Hey, what's a good gift to get?" My Japanese stepfather, and his was like, "We don't really celebrate fathers." That was his response, and I was like, "Oh," and that was new for me because I know we don't necessarily do something big for my dad, but we at least still try to call him and wish him happy Father's Day and all this stuff. So it was kind of
Funny,
weird for
right?
me to hear that.
I just call them and say Happy Father's Day. Like, it don't mean shit. But a mother, oh, where do you want to go eat? Oh, what do you want? What do you need? But
And
a
it's
dad
so
is like, whatever.
and it's so funny that you're saying that because my mom has been giving me grief this week because she's like, "Well, what are we going to do for your father?" And I'm like, "What are we going to do for your father? Like, you have no obligation to him anymore. And first of all, he lives in another country, which makes it kind of hard." She said, "Well, why don't you invite him over for dinner?" And I'm like, that kind of defeats the purpose of doing something for him on Father's Day, is to make him come see us so he can have dinner with. Like, if it was truly a celebration of him, we would all go to him on Father's Day. I said, but I don't think my brothers are going to do that. Maybe I really haven't talked to them about it, but we also...
I was thinking about that too. I was like, you don't want to call your pops, and we just grill out on Father's Day, and it could be him and I don't know, your brother and me.
I just feel bad making him come here. You know what I mean? Like, if I was really going to celebrate him, I would go to him.
Yeah, but
And
like
take
you said,
him
he lives in
somewhere.
another country. It's different. And I mean, he comes out here for donuts. He can come out here for a celebration for him. So
I don't know. I was just telling my mom that. I
sounds
just felt
you're
like
making
it was...
excuses, and you should just.
I
throw it
also
out there.
didn't think that you would want to do that because you just want to
He's
relax.
your dad. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? He's your father. I mean, I
And
don't
my
have to
dad's-
do shit.
and
You're
my
doing it for your
dad's
dad.
not into anything. My dad's never been into celebrating him. Like, he doesn't care if we celebrate his birthday.
That's
He
what
doesn't-
men say, though. We're like that. We say, like, I say I don't want nothing, but deep down inside, when
I know,
if
you're
I
like,
get
what
something,
did you get me? But you told me not to get you
yeah,
anything.
exactly. But that's just how it works, because sometimes we're just used to like not getting it.
And say for you, it's Father's Day and then it's your birthday right after. So, or a week later. So it's like double whammy. Like this year originally you told me, don't get me anything for Father's Day because I already bought myself something. And so I've been here collecting gifts for you that I was planning to just give you for your birthday.
As you should. No, that should be for Father's Day. Just because I said I bought myself something, that's fine. But you should still give me a little something. You know what? As crazy as it sounds, I enjoy seeing the kids making me those cards.
Yeah.
I keep all of them.
He does. Since the eldest, since the ones that are growing, you still keep everything.
I keep them. I have a box that has all the little cards or letters that they ever made or gave me. Mm-hmm. And in a weird, morbid way, like, I know that one day when I die and they start going through the stuff to throw away, they'll come across this one box and they'll open it and they'll see, like, he cared. He loved us.
Well, I found that, like I said,
I hope they do.
I had found this really pretty article, and I'm going to have to look for it and post it because it was basically this whole idea that dads are underappreciated, right? And that's why it's ranked number 7, right? Why it's so far down on the totem pole compared to all these other holidays. And I understand that there's a lot of sperm donors, as you would call them, in the world. But then there's the dads that step up, that take the responsibility of being that caretaker, of being that provider and that protector. And it's not appreciated. And they're not griping about it. They're not asking for anything in return. And that's what the article was about. So, from your perspective as a father now, what are your thoughts on that?
Everything with me goes to music sometimes or movies, right? So it makes me think about Conway Twitty, where he's talking about his relationship with his dad. And he's always saying like, "Thank you, Dad, for your help or doing the stuff that you did." And the dad's always the answer from the dad is always saying, "That's my job. That's what I do. Like everything I do it for you."
Okay.
So yeah, in a way, I guess dads, it's like moms, right? We just give that love unconditionally, like that support. So,
But is it always love or is it just support?
I guess it depends on. I mean, we talked about how there's different types of parents, right?
Yes,
And the
that's
way
true.
that they show love and emotion, or like some do the heart love, or some are very affectionate. But I think it's some people take it as a job, as a responsibility. So it's like we shouldn't be rewarded. I guess that article in that way is kind of right. Like it's your job as a man, as a father, to do those things. They go hand in hand. Like you have to be a provider. You have to be there. You have to be supportive. You have to be that North Star, or that compass, right? Like the one that light that's gonna guide you, with knowing that there shouldn't be a reward in return for it.
Okay. So, based on that, do you think it's a generational? Do you
Oh
feel
yeah,
that?
because like so you were saying that about your stepdad, right? Being Japanese, and that you asked like your boss at work, right, or supervisor or whatever he is, about like we wanted to do something for Father's Day, and you were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we don't do that." If you think about it, like Japanese people are very traditional, right?
Yeah.
So they like that's another culture wise that no, we're men, we're providers, we work, we do it. Like we're not expecting
We don't
anything. We don't
complain.
celebrate it, right? Same thing before, like men were men, and they missed a lot of things with their kids because they had to be providers. They had to work, they had to be away from home, and the moms were at home with the kids and raised everything. And so sometimes the dads would miss that, and kids get bummed out and they get sad because their dads missed a lot of things in their lives. But sometimes we forget that sometimes it's not by choice, it's because they have to work and provide. So generational wise, before, I think it was harder to be a man. It was single incomes. They missed a lot. They
Yeah,
had
because a
that.
lot of the majority of women were stay-at-home
Right.
moms, right?
Yeah. And so they missed a lot of things, and they were doing their duty by providing, home, shelter, food, and they weren't as loving as affectionate. I think with time, we kind of adapt to it, or we learn from the parents' mistake. It was like, oh, my dad wasn't like this, so I'm gonna be different in this way. I mean, I know I've done it. I know my dad missed a lot of stuff for me in my life. So I always said I'm not gonna miss anything in my kids' life. So I try to be more involved.
You're more present.
Right. Yeah.
So in your own relationship with your father, he was not as present, but he was a good provider.
Yeah. Oh no, most definitely.
Is that
Yeah.
how you would
Yeah.
describe
I,
it?
I I see it like that. Like, okay, my dad and me, obviously, weird relationship, but yeah, I know that. Well, now that's a tough one. Well, he missed a lot of things. I know he was always at work. He worked all the time, overtime, when you name it. And I know that. But then I know he also kind of had like a double life and a
Triple
personal.
life?
Yeah. So he was always kind of like bouncing around. But yeah, I mean, I never, when it came to monetary things, it was always there. Clothes, food, home. Like it was
Designer
there.
stuff, even.
Yeah. But as the love and affection and that person to be there, yeah, it was rare.
And then for you, it was even harder because you didn't have a mother to fill that position either.
Right.
You only really had your dad.
Yeah, so I guess, by generation, yeah, I mean generation wise, like going back to what you said, it is different. They are more cold, more hard, more, not as affectionate, but now we've become more affectionate.
And that's why, so then you now with your own children are different than he is most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the time. Well, I mean, think about it for you too, right? Like, I mean, how would it be for you for with your dad?
Well, yeah, my dad is very different than my grandfather was. So,
So, do you
and
think
that's
also it was a generation thing,
yeah, I
or
for sure it's a generation thing. I think maybe it's also where they came from. So right,
oh no, culture has
yeah,
a lot to do
culture
with it
wise
too,
too, right?
right?
Because
Yeah,
your dad and my grandpa were from Mexico.
yeah, the macho
That
thing, the macho
macho, yeah,
persona, right?
exactly. So my grandfather
That's a
was
good point.
a lot like your dad was with you, with my dad. So my dad, similarly to you, they say, oh, women marry their fathers. I mean, there's a lot of difference there, but when it comes to that emotional support and that loving father figure, like that man that's going to be there for his family, my dad was definitely more like you than he was his own father, where his father was absent. Again, monetary wise, my dad never wanted for anything. There was always more than enough money for everything he needed or wanted, but he never had that love and support from his father in anything type of thing.
So he didn't have that with his father. So then that made him a more loving and affectionate father with you guys.
Yes,
And so
because he
he was
swore he wasn't going to be like that, just like you've
right,
sworn you wouldn't be like your father when it came to that.
right. So I guess that's one of the things, right? So by generation, it keeps on changing because whatever they didn't have, I guess they try to provide. So like my dad didn't have a father. He had stepfathers, but he talks about like how hard it was for him to grow up and trying to survive and make ends meet, right? And he was around during the Great Depression, like he was born during that time. So he remembers a little bit of how food was and clothes and how they all lived together in one house trying to survive. So then for him, maybe that's why he was always working so hard. So he made sure that you know
He could
there was always
provide.
food. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was always something to
Because
provide.
he was also the eldest boy,
Yeah,
right?
he was the eldest
And
boy.
he had
He dropped out of
siblings.
school,
Yeah.
and then to help my grandma provide for his siblings.
Yeah.
He was always doing something to try to help bring money in.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I imagine that's the way. So I got to miss out on, like you said, a lot of love and
His time.
time. Yeah, his
You
time.
didn't
Yeah,
have his
I craved
time.
his time. So I guess in a way, now that you say that, maybe that's why I always did things before being told, so that I can get like his approval.
Well, and that's what they say, right? Is that there's kids do that, right? They like we have our 10-year-old, right? He might not always do things before he's asked, but if he's craving attention, he'll be like, "Hey, mom, so I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that," and I was like, "Thank you." And you don't have to tell me every time you do something, and then he'll come and he'll like be looking for hugs and kisses. And so, in that sense, he's also craving attention, but he does it to me, not to you, versus for you, it was with your father.
Yeah, with me, what he does is he actually gets close to me and he lets me know that he loves me and tries to hug me or whatever. I think the difference is that I return it.
Yeah.
I let him know.
And
I
that's
hug
something your
him.
dad would have never done.
Yeah, and I love. I think this is one of my highlights as a dad for me, especially recently. Like right now, they're on break, right? And he would set up his little alarm to wake up to greet me when I would get home because I get home so late.
Yeah.
And there's times when I'll be like, "All right, buddy, thank you. Let's go to bed." And then there's times when it's like, "Can we just sit down and have a conversation for a few minutes?" And I loved it. I loved it because he's taking the time to try to spend time with me, and I
But
love
you
it.
found him asleep on the sofa before,
Oh
too.
no, yeah. And then there's been those times like recently this week he hasn't done it, so I'm like, oh, he hasn't he's not, he doesn't love me no more.
No, because I've been sending him to bed.
But no, yeah, but I actually do enjoy that, and he's a sweetheart. So
But, well, okay, so then that was your, we're saying that generationally, there's a difference between, how, and also culturally, where how men are so super hard ass with their kids because they feel they have to be men and just be a provider, whereas the mom's going to give that emotional support.
Right.
The dad doesn't need to give that emotional support. So, and now we're living in days where that's not true anymore. And so, like you've said, the next generation changes,
Right.
you know, how they're going to raise their kids, and they supplement the things that they missed out on.
Oh no, yeah, because even if you think about it, like right now we're talking about generation wise. Remember when with our oldest boy and we visited my dad and I was like gonna change his diaper. Remember how he
Oh yeah, your
he
dad couldn't
reacted?
believe that you were going to change a diaper.
Yeah, he was like, "Well, back in my days, men never did that, you know." Or that time when after my accident that I stayed home and you were working, right? And
Yeah.
he was like, "How could you? Like, that's so wrong."
Like, yeah, how are you not providing for your family and letting your wife, you know, work and bring the income?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah, no excuses. No
Yeah,
excuses.
no excuses. Yeah.
So, so how? Okay, so having been raised like that, and I know that you say that each generation changes what was wrong. Do you think the changes for this generation are good for society or bad for society?
Ooh, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate and say it's bad for society because it actually created a lot of soft man, very sensitive and fragile man.
And I think you've told me about this quote before, where you know, good times create weak men.
Yes,
And what's that whole quote? Do you remember?
I'm trying to remember. You have it right. I was like, I think Dr. Peterson also has quoted it and everything, and it's so true. And I'm just gonna echo it, and I'm pretty sure everybody's heard it, right? Which it says, "Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times." It's that cycle.
Yeah. So I think based on that, we are in the weak men create hard times section, because
Yeah,
our parents or grandparents from my side were the strong men who created good times.
right.
And they raised their kids in good times. Like you said, you never wanted for anything. My dad never wanted for anything. So those were the good times. That's going to be what the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
I want to say more like
Oh no,
70s,
50s,
80s.
60s. Yeah. Well, because generationally my dad was
Right.
raised by his, it's kind of weird. So those were the good times. So now that those kids, our generation are adults, our generation, because we're trying to fill in the gaps for all those fathers who were absent. So then now our kids are weak. And those weak kids, or are we the weak kids?
It could be a 50-50. I think we're in a cusp. I think we're kind of like on that cusp of, the weak.
Okay.
Because, I guess the thing for me is I was raised by a guy that could have been my grandfather.
He was 40
He was
years
40
older
when
than
I
you.
was born.
Okay.
So your dad was 20 when he had you.
Yeah,
so
he was in his 20s.
my dad could
It's
have,
a huge...
my dad could be your grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, bottom line.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So when you talk about your grandfather, he reminds me a lot of my father.
Yeah, and so I said he's closer in age to what my grandpa was.
And so you're saying that your dad and me have a lot of things in common, right? Because we were raised by that type of
That type of man.
right? The difference, I think, is I think I'm a lot like my dad in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways. And I think my dad, retrospect, as he got older and as he had kids and situations came up in life, he also found that he was a lot more like his dad.
I think we all, at one moment in our lives, turn into our fathers.
Okay. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it has to be a good thing. It has to be a good thing because good things are hard to kill, right? So if it's those morals or those ideas and they need to come back, as kids, we sometimes don't understand things. We don't, we think we know everything.
It's true.
And as teenagers we start testing the waters, and we rebel, and we test our parents' limits. Men obviously fight with their fathers, women
Fight with
fight with their mothers. And then, we try to do the opposite of what our parents tell us, right? Like, or especially, like we're saying, like my dad would give me advice, and sometimes the few times that he did, right, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Which is what we go through now with our
Right,
teenager,
right.
right? We don't know what we're talking about.
And then, later on, it's like, oh man, he was right. And especially now, I find myself a lot of times where I understand my dad now. Like, being a father of boys, I understand a lot of the things he said and did.
The hard love type of stuff, or
All of it. Well, with my dad, it was mainly hard love. It was the cold shoulder, the silent treatment, the dirty looks. And sometimes the words, the way that they were delivered, the tone of it. I guess that's why I'm so big on tone, right? Because of the way he spoke to me.
but you do it too.
I do it too, yeah, because that's, like I keep on saying, we're echo of our parents.
Yeah.
We repeat it. So I'm sure that my sons do things that I did, and they make me echo my dad and say those things that I feel horrible after saying them, because they frustrated me to that point where I did that to my father too. And it's a cycle. It's just going in circles, right? But the difference is that my dad would never apologize or recognize when he was wrong. And so it was one of those things where I want to change it, and I apologize to my boys, and I say, I'm sorry. I said something because I remember what it did to me.
How it made you feel.
Yeah, and I can see it in their faces if I do it, if I say something like that he said to me. So I'm trying to break that vicious cycle.
But again, going back to the whole weak times, are we creating weak men when we apologize? Because I don't know, I'm just asking from observations, right? So if men in the past were hard and cold and just good providers, working all the time, that was their role. That was what they, expected, a clean house from their wife when they got home, expected their kids to be well behaved and all these different things. And now men are more easygoing, more involved in their kids' lives. And those kids are now the ones in the world complaining about everything because they got everything they ever needed. They got that love and affection. They got all the monetary portion of it. Is it too much? Is there a fine line there
definitely.
that we're definitely missing?
Yeah, no, definitely. But I don't think us, from our point of view, I don't think we're missing it, because even though they get the love, they get the attention, they get the monetary stuff or whatever not, there's also a level of discipline that's harder than most other kids are getting right now.
This is true.
There's also the whole, you didn't earn this, so you're not gonna get this. And we always still do like lessons with our stuff.
Yeah.
Like the grades. No, you don't deserve none of this because your grades were not that great.
Yeah.
Oh, you're sleeping till this time? Well, guess what? You missed breakfast. So make your own breakfast. We do things. I mean, they're not that spoiled. I mean, we love them. They know that we love them. There are moments where we sit back and we're like, man, they got it made. They don't realize how good they have it. And I think you and me are in tune in this aspect where we're like, no, they have to learn. Do this, do that, do this, do that.
They have to have some responsibility.
Yeah.
Whereas
so it's not like we make those jokes where there's like, my friend has this, why can't I have it? I was like, no, you don't need that. You don't.
Yeah, and then
you
we
don't
also
deserve
make
it.
the observation of how some of their friends are completely rotten, and it's because their parents have given them everything, and they might not necessarily give them love.
Yeah, and think about it. A lot of the kids nowadays don't have chores, and our kids have chores.
Yeah.
Now,
Is that more so? Things like that, like things that are chore, anything that's disciplinary, is that the father's role, or is that the mother's role? Is it a combination? Because I imagine back in the day it was a father's role to instill discipline.
Well, yes, but if you think about it, the fathers weren't around, so the moms had to
follow through with whatever dad said.
And then when it didn't happen, wait till your father gets home, right?
Yes.
And then the kids are freaking out because like, oh, I barely see my dad, and he's gonna come in
and whip my butt.
Yeah, whip my butt, or just take out whatever frustration he has from work or life, and just take it out on me.
Yeah.
Right. So then that's where they get scared.
Yeah, petrified. Petrified was good.
Yeah. But at the same time, like you're saying, like, are we creating a softer man? Like, because we're changing ways that our fathers were. Mm-hmm. Well, then by that rule, then are we ruining our marriage life too? Or are we doing it because now, back then you're saying men were hard with kids and they demand certain things. But at the same time, women were not allowed to correct or call out their husbands. Mm-hmm. They can come and go as they please.
Yeah.
As long as they provided the money.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to worry about anything around the house or anything with the kids. You do everything. And if I go and cheat, then, deal with it. Nowadays, you can't. That's not allowed, right?
Yeah. Well, because women are working.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same way that now it's not allowed to spank your kids either.
Yeah.
Or be stern with them because somebody might, report you.
I know. Yeah.
So that's the thing. But it's funny how that one question just has gone down this long path now because, it was like...
Well, because I think there's so much to fatherhood and the role of father. So I've read in different articles that it is a father's role historically, and it should be still today, that a father is the one who instills a child's sense of who they are and where their place is within the household. So, and I think maybe we touched on this in a different episode, but I'll have to go back through my notes to confirm. But either way, it was historically the father that distinguished the roles, right? So, like you with the boys versus our girls. With the boys, you're a certain way, and with the girls, you're a different way. In doing that, you're subconsciously maybe identifying them as whether it's what boys do versus what girls do. And I feel like maybe these days, a lot of fathers, because they're trying to be more present and more supportive, have allowed the line to blur too much. And now we've got confused kids. But it's the father's role to distinguish those lines, to distinguish that role. Do you agree or disagree? I'm saying this is something I've read.
You kind of lost me there for a little bit. I was
for example.
But I'm just saying.
The boys are supposed to do the yard work. The boys are supposed to work on the car or wash the car. The boys are supposed to, do those manual, more difficult type of things. Whereas you would tell the girls, like, okay, girls, go help your mom in the kitchen. Or girls, go set the table. I mean, that's not exactly how it is in our household because our girls are so much smaller than our boys. But
that's where I was going to go with it. It doesn't apply to our house. I mean, your question, like, to me, your scenario, everything, like, that's why you lost me. That's why you lost me.
Other daughters.
No, yeah, but
would you?
I'm not talking about them. I'm just talking about our kids. Okay, so I have no say so on those other daughters. I said it before, and they're adults now.
And that's part of fatherhood too. That's another aspect of fatherhood where you have children that you have no say so over because of a divorce. That
was a big pause. I'm sorry. I was waiting for where you're going with this.
Well, how does that play into fatherhood? Like,
so which one do you want me to answer first?
Whichever one you're comfortable.
I don't know. You fucking lost me, seriously. So,
well, okay. I'm trying to
hold on.
those roles.
I'm trying not to cut you off, but you keep on going and going, and you're adding more questions in there. So, the first part, you're talking about the boys and the girls, all right? Mm-hmm. There's a big age gap between them. Mm-hmm. So, it's not about a sex thing. The girls themselves, I don't know if it's the age or whatever, but all our kids, when they're small, they always want to be helpful and they always want to be involved in things. So the girls are at that point right now where they're actually offering their help. They want to be around me. They want to do things with me, whatever it is. They always come out to cut the grass. They always come out to try to wash the car. They're always offering. I at no moment have said, no, that's not a girl's job. right? At no moment.
Okay.
I let them help out. I let them jump in. Now the boys, they try to be more lazy, right? They want to be more in the video games or on the TV or lay back or whatever. We have to teach them to be men, obviously. So there's a little bit more sternness. There's a little bit more discipline on the way that I talk to them. But at the same time, they're way older. So they're not little kids anymore. Because when they were little kids, I probably treated them the same way I did it with the girls.
Okay.
But now they're older. So they're starting to become men. So that's how I see them.
Okay.
I can't talk to them no more like little boys anymore. I need to start. I'm pretty sure you noticed it. My voice gets stern a lot with them. I might say it once nicely. If I had to repeat myself, I start getting very frustrated.
Okay.
And if it makes it to a third time, then that's when I'm already, on my last straw, not happy.
Yeah, because you shouldn't be repeating yourself.
Yeah, I
That's what
turn
you
myself
tell them.
into a drill sergeant, and I'm like, the name calling starts, or the weird phrases, or the major pain attitude comes out.
Yeah.
It's like, but with the girls, yeah, they're girls. They're my babies. They're my girls. I'm not taking anything away from the boys either, but they're younger, so I'm like, all right, do this.
What if the girls had been born first?
I think it would be the same thing. I think I don't think in that aspect I ever miss sexes, because that's my other point as being me, right? And knowing like your questions that you're saying about men nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably raise my girls to be pretty like your dad kind of did with you. Like,
Yeah. A little more tough.
well, I mean, they're already tough. The girls are tougher than the boys are.
But like doing guy stuff.
Yeah, why not? Like, girls have proven that there's a lot of things they can do, right? I'm not gonna let them be weak women, right? I mean, come on, I want our daughters to learn how to, fight and do sports, and they seem to like it too. They want to be a part of it. So on that aspect, yeah, with the girls, it's not a sex thing. It's an H thing for me right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I want them to be strong. I want them to be strong women that don't want to be relying on weak men. So they'll know what they want in men. A man that
Is
is
stronger than them.
Yeah, stronger than them. If they can change a tire and their man can, they're probably going to be like, this is not the guy for me, right?
Yeah.
So.
And that was what my dad was doing with me when he was raising me. Like you said, he let me use tools, and he let me work on the car and things like that, and help him in the yard.
There's
because he wanted me to be
that.
able to do those things for myself. Some would argue, though, that in allowing that because now these women are going to only look for men who could do more than them, that all these other men, that the demasculated men, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but
too soft
some
men.
can argue too that that's why there's so many lesbians. You made such strong women. They're just, they now they want challenge guys.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I was raised that way, and I'm not.
No, but
So,
you see what I mean?
Yeah,
It's that's the thing. It's like the weak people. It's just how weak are you? What excuse are you going to look for?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that other, and then you were talking about the girls, the older girls,
oldest ones,
like
being a father to them was very different.
It was very different because, one, obviously, whenever I tried to be stern and straight and everything, I was reminded that, I was a stepdad. Mm-hmm. And then with the other one, I was always reminded that, she's handicapped. Mm-hmm. You can't be with, you got to, you have to be soft
baby
and
her
and whatever. Yeah. So there's differences. But the job of a dad, bottom line, is always hard, just like a mom's. You're talking about, like, your dad taught you to do that. Like, my stepmom taught me to cook. Mm-hmm. And my stepmom taught me to do my clothes and to iron, because she said the women nowadays suck and they don't know how to do none of this crap. So you need to learn for yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think I said this before,
and I am proof of that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Exactly.
You
can't cook. You can't iron.
I don't iron.
Like,
I can. I just don't.
I don't know, because
exactly.
you've never ironed
ironed
anything of me. And then when you cook, it's a 50-50. It might get burnt or it might be too salty.
I like to experiment. What can I
Yeah,
say?
not with my food.
So that's been definitely lost because my dad, yeah. Well, no, my dad, even though he did expect, he did want me to learn how to do things. He did also, expect me to do things in the house as my role as a girl, right? Where I was the one who helped take care of my
But
brothers.
even our boys,
and-
right? Like dishwashing. Like go wash the dishes.
Yeah, go wash dishes.
and
I just think
set
that's a
the table.
general age punishment. That's
Yeah,
just
no,
a good
it's a
age thing.
job. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you're a bachelor,
You gotta wash your
You gotta wash
dishes.
your dishes, right?
Yeah.
Iron. You join the military, you're gonna have to learn how to iron. You need to know how to shine shoes. You need to know how to cook. Like, not saying that he might be a bachelor. They might be bachelors for a long time.
Like my brothers.
Yeah, or they might end up marrying or being with a girl that doesn't know how to do all that stuff, and
Yeah.
then they probably have to teach them, or they have to, do it for them and their kids.
Oh.
I mean, even our kids love my cooking.
Yeah, everyone loves your cooking. It's way better than mine.
You do good stuff.
The kids like my food when I do actually pay attention to what I'm doing and I'm not pulled in a million different directions. But anyways, this is not about me.
Yeah,
it's
not
you.
about none of this. We're
It's about you.
supposed to be talking about Father's Day.
Okay, so again, but you were talking about your eldest girls and how you really didn't have a say in their life.
I didn't have a say. Yeah, I didn't have that much of a say.
Do you think that's affected them though?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, think about it now. The 21-year-old is visiting us, and what kind of relationship do we have?
She's just on her phone the whole time.
Yeah, and doesn't try to talk, doesn't try to do anything. I tried. She lived with her mom, both of them, and they kept the distance, and it was every other weekend. That's why I tell you, it's like a lot of times I just feel like I was an uncle or like a babysitter. It sucks. I have that love for them. They're my children. I mean, there's no denying it. You have it for them too. But,
It's different.
Yeah, we were cut off from a lot of things. We tried to be involved, and we were cut off from a lot of things. We were,
But
reminded
you,
of our
especially
place.
as their father, were cut off.
Yeah.
You were
It
cut off.
sucked. It's very frustrating and it's very tiring. And I'm sure a lot of dads go through it. We try to be fathers, and we get pushed away, and we,
Even by the court system.
yeah, it just sucks. There's guys that want to be fathers, and we're not allowed to be fathers, and there's guys that don't want to be fathers, and they're being forced to be fathers.
That's true.
So it's just weird how that works. So yeah. Did I kind of cover it? I guess
Yeah.
not.
Well, I just kind of wanted to know, how
I just
how
want to talk
that
about
role
Father's
changes.
Day. You're making it weird.
But it's fathers. Like you can't celebrate Father's Day without talking about fathers. Like the role of a father in their child's life, in their household, like how a
Yes.
father affects their family and the importance of a father. Because you've talked to me before about how fathers are not appreciated, right? We hear that many, many times that fathers are not appreciated. So why should they be appreciated? Other than the fact that, they helped to create this child, what do fathers bring to the table that a mother can't?
Well, what did mothers bring that the father can't?
A lot of mothers raise their kids because the fathers are absent.
Okay.
So what's missing?
So what about the fathers that raise their children when the mothers are absent?
That's true. So what's missing?
I mean-
So what's missing? Like for all the women out there who are raising their kids without their baby daddies, right? What do you think that child is missing, if anything?
Well, obviously their father.
Yeah, but what does
A woman
he bring?
can't teach a boy to be a man.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what you think or do. Like, it's just something about a dad that I knew a guy. It's so funny. I knew a guy, and the jokes that we did at work, right? Amongst guys, the roughhousing, the trash talk, right? We can always tell that it would hurt him, that he was like kind of like very fragile, very sensitive, very, I don't know. I guess that covers it.
Okay.
And then one day I was like, hey man, like your dad never taught you this? Like you never heard your dad tell jokes or, maybe smack a little butt in the kitchen or something, or, double meaning stuff, or you never like dad's Playboys or something, like, you know, just a joke, like in general. He's like, oh, I didn't have a dad. The moment he said that, I was like, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense why he's the way he is. That makes perfect sense why he's so sensitive, why he's so fragile, why a lot of the jokes just, you know, boom, why he doesn't know about personal space, why he's so asphyxiating towards guys, like that little dog on Spike, right? Like, oh, what do we do today, Spike? Well, like, he was kind of like that, like, dude, chill, or get away, or give me space, or stop trying to get so much attention, or why are you so lost? Why don't you have that common sense or that guy sense or the competitive nature, the something, right? And then it makes sense. It's like he's been raised by his mom. He's been raised by his mom. What do moms do with boys? They baby them, they shelter them, they protect them.
They demasculate them.
Yeah. And so then you're like, okay. And then it starts making sense of why his wife treats him the way that she does, or why she puts him down, or why she wears the pants, or, you know, why he has no backbone.
So he found another mother figure instead of a wife.
It doesn't matter. Any other female in his life, eventually, the moment that you know that your significant other is weak, you're going to walk all over them.
Okay. A lot of women these days want that. They want weak men that they can walk
That's
all
what
over.
they say.
Like, I even saw this post about this lady who was saying that she would really like to find a good man, you know, a good provider, a good this, a good that.
The Democrat chick.
Yes, you know which post it is.
I read that
she's
article.
a liberal.
The
liberal chick who wants to find herself a good man. And then in her post, she's even like,
she's upset that most of the men with the qualities she look at are
is
fucking
conservative.
right-wing.
Yes, she's like upset because all the men that she wants that fit the criteria are conservative, but she doesn't want a conservative man. She wants a liberal man who's going to let her be free and live her life the way she wants to, but who's still going to protect and provide for her.
But that's not what liberal men do, exactly.
I mean,
it's an oxymoron.
It's an oxymoron, yeah. But that's the society we live in, right? And
so,
like even two of my brothers, right? Two of my brothers aren't married, not because they're not good men, right? They would be good providers, right? They have the means to do it. I'm sure they would be good fathers. I mean, I'd like to think that they would be good fathers, but they can't find a woman who is willing to be at home raising kids so that they can be the man, so that they can, what my brother has even told me, to make sure I give you your place, right? One of my brothers, he would get mad at me whenever I would make decisions, and he'd be like, you're totally cutting your husband's balls off by doing that. You're totally cutting your husband's balls off by saying that. It's like, because you're not letting him take his place as a man and the provider and the protector of your house because you're too busy doing what you want.
Yeah. But that's the thing with relationships nowadays, right? Oh, it gets hard. I'm done. Forget about it. Divorce.
No one's willing to make it work.
Yeah. I want somebody that's just like me. No, you don't. Because if it's just like you and they agree with everything, it's going to be a dull and boring life.
Yeah.
You want, what did I tell you when you try to control me or do things? I was like, no. You're not my mom.
You're not. Yeah.
You're my companion.
Yeah.
I picked you to be my companion. We're walking this together. It's a 50-50. My input matters. Your input matters. I come to you sometimes, hey, this is going on. What do you think? You give me your input. I can agree with it, disagree with it. Okay, cool. Thank you for the advice. I'll go about my way, right? If I mess up because I made my choice or I didn't listen to yours, then it's kind of like, okay, you were right.
I just get to laugh and I
right.
told you so. And vice versa.
And vice versa, right? So that's the thing. Mm-hmm. So like that lady that you're talking about, like that's the problem. You know, everybody just wants it easy. That's why I'm saying we don't have the strong man anymore. That's why I'm saying I'm raising men that are not needed.
Trying to raise men.
Yeah, they're needed. Those are the strong men. Mm-hmm. Because guess what? When the world starts getting hard, I like to think that at least my children will be strong enough to step up. And will be the ones to make it right, to create the good times. Mm-hmm. I joke with the boys. You see me.
Oh, yeah. And I get mad at you. I'm like, oh, my God. So inappropriate. Yes.
Yeah. But I'm teaching them
this is what men
it's
do.
like. Yeah, this is how guys do, right? I've taken my we took our oldest son. I took my oldest son to the fantasy football draft.
Yeah.
He heard what it's like for the guys to hang around.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys that drink, there's guys that don't drink, there's guys that curse, there's guys that don't curse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's guys that are rough, there's guys that, you know, are funny. But everybody together kind of blends and has fun. And he saw a side of me that he probably wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he was like, "Oh, my ears, Dad, I don't want to hear this." You know,
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were like that." Like,
Well, like I know he was at my brother's house not too long ago for Easter, like that week before Easter, and he was there with both my brothers and my dad. So my dad is definitely a softer man when it comes to those type of jokes and things like that. He was definitely, even though he's familiar with it, he was basically raised by his mom because my grandpa was not really around.
right.
He gets it, but he's never spoken like that. Like, he never talked to my brothers like that. So it's funny to me when my parents are like, "Where did your brothers learn these things?" I'm like, duh, school. They're friends.
And there are 3 brothers.
And it's 3 brothers.
So, yeah.
So my brothers are hanging out with our 14-year-old, and he to this day has not told me what the conversation was about, but he said it was the most hilarious conversation to hear my brothers talking about whatever, arguing, you know, just going around everything. And he to him, he's like, "Mom, it was so funny. You had to be there. It was hilarious."
For me,
And
though,
extremely inappropriate.
the funny thing about that experience was, right, we went back. We went for Easter, and we were going to pick him up and whatever. And I can tell that he thought he was like the shit, right? He was like walking around like thinking he's like the shit. And I don't know if he's kind of like trying to test his limits with the old man, you know, like, because he didn't greet me normally, you know, like he usually does, and kind of trying to be the cool guy, kind of brush me off or whatever not. And then we're having a conversation, and it was a dumb conversation about some, I don't know, some comic book or superhero crap or whatever.
The
movie.
typical stuff, yeah.
And he started raising his voice at me, and he started kind of being demeaning towards me, right? And I just kind of gave him a look, and he's like, "No," blah, 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 like trying to argue. And, you know, I hear your brother saying like, "Hey, remember what we talked about? Remember your facts, remember this, you know?" And I was like, "My man, let me stop you right here. I need you to realize you're talking to your dad.
And not your uncles.
Yeah, not your uncles,
Not your friends.
not your fishing buddy.
Yeah.
Talking to your dad."
And that's a huge difference. That's like that respect for a father versus the respect you have for other males in your life.
Yeah.
There
But
should
it
be
was
a
funny
difference.
because he still tested it, right?
Yeah.
He still did his thing. And I was like, "I will knock the shit out of you right now in front of everybody if you keep that up."
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna bust your lips. You think you're a man? I'm gonna show you how man handles this."
Yeah. And knowing my brothers, they probably would have been like, okay, well, one of my brothers wouldn't have been okay with that, but the other brother would have been like, "All right, get back up and hit your dad back."
Yeah, probably,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
right.
know.
It was like, I was like, you wanna test it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll test it,
Yeah.
right? But it's automatically, it's kind of like, but it's kind of like our environment, right? Kind of like where you grew up,
Yeah.
how you handle things, right?
Yeah.
But at that moment, I was like, I know damn well I would have never talked to my dad like
Oh,
that.
yeah, for sure.
I did as a grown up, as later on,
Yeah.
and it led to a weird road, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as I did that, it was funny because he went back to being the kid I remember. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it is my dad." "Oh, okay." It was like, you know, it was like
Yeah.
the head,
Calm down,
the
dude.
eye
Calm
level
down.
came down or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was like, all right. I was like, "Hey, man, I love you. I love you. I wouldn't do that to you, but you need to remember manners, right? You remember your manners. Like, I'm not your friend. Like, I'm your friend. I want to be your friend, but I'm your father first. So, you know,
Yeah.
watch how you talk to me. Watch your tone." And it's like, it's the same thing, right? Whenever he tries to get like that with you, I have to check him.
Yeah. He does it to me too, but I'm like, I do also remind him
So-
if you're not around, I have to
so
remind
that's the
him.
job as a dad, right? You want to be a friend with them. You want them to trust you. Like I said, it's one of those things, I guess, that where we trying to have what we didn't have with our fathers.
Yeah.
But there are moments where we need to pump the brakes and remind them, like, I'm still your father.
Yeah.
You know,
That level of respect.
Yeah,
for
I
a
want
father.
you to know that you can trust me. You can come to me with whatever issues you might have, and I will try to give you my advice from my life experience, and I can be here for you. It's part of my job. But at the same time, remember that I'm your father, and if you're messing up or you're doing something wrong, that's where it changes. And I'm going to tell you, you're messing up. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing it like this or like that. Or it's one of those where eventually, if they don't want to trust you with it, and you just kind of have to let them
Figure it out.
and fall down, and
Which is
just
a
be there to
father.
help them pick them up.
Fathers historically have been more willing to let their kids figure out things versus mothers who are like, oh, okay, let me help you with that.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. I talked about it before. My dad was, go on your own and learn, and I give you advice, and you don't want to listen to me. You're gonna learn.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna burn yourself if you touch that iron. But okay, go ahead. You want to test it? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
You want to
ahead.
find out how much it
Yeah,
hurts?
yeah,
Go ahead.
Meanwhile, mom's like, "Oh no, my baby, don't do it."
Well, it's funny because I even find myself, so he's been working on some science biology stuff, and he'll be like, Mom, gosh, I don't get this. Like, I don't get, okay, honey, well, how can I help you with that? Like, that's my response. Whereas you're going to be like, is there an assignment or a video you can watch with that you need to be watching?
Yeah, and a lot of times I like to tell them, like, well, I need you to explain it to me. Teach me. Get me to your point. Get me to your dilemma. Explain it to me, because you got to remember, I've been out of school for a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't remember this stuff, but remind me.
Yeah.
And in the process of him trying to teach me, it clicks for him.
Yeah.
Right? Because his mind's thinking different now.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Like, while I'm trying to help him find different ways to get to it, to the root, you're kind of like, well, we'll walk this together.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between the mom and the dad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I had another question. I forgot now, but
What do I like to do for Father's Day?
what would you like to do for Father's Day? Sure. What do you want to do for Father's Day? Oh, so if anybody's hearing like heavy breathing, our Great Dane is with us again tonight. So
Yeah, we couldn't
get her up. She's just like staring at us like, I don't want to get up. So
Yeah.
she's asleep. But
She's old.
I mean, before we get to what you want for Father's Day, because I think
No,
there's like
yeah,
a
that's
whole
fine.
list.
It's because, like, I have a different way that I wanted to do this Father's kind of pre-Father's Day podcast.
Well, okay,
And
you keep going with it then.
No, and then, but I like what you're doing. You're kind of doing like the interviewer, kind of like a
like what
psychology point of it.
what is a father? What is a father? Like, why should we love you guys? Why should your kids respect you?
Wow, those are great, great questions.
The answer is because I'm the father, and that's
Yeah.
it. Just like a mother would say, because I'm the mother.
Why
and
am I
that's
the
it.
father? Because, when a man and a woman have a physical attraction towards one another, the male sees the female species. Yes, the female species. And he sees qualities in her that he finds attractive.
Stop looking at my chest.
And he wants to mate with her. He walks up to her with his club and he says, Oga, Oga.
And then drags her away by her hair.
Drags her by her hair to this cave that he's created.
For her to take care of.
He's been the interior decorator, which was kind of crappy, so needs a woman's touch.
But, I mean...
And he procreates with her.
Yes, that's correct.
Planting his seed in her womb. Which... Is that clear enough?
I think so.
And that's what makes him a father.
Well, but that's not true, right? Fathers are not just the ones that put the baby in the mama.
No, that's true. That's true.
There's many, many, many kids out there who don't have their fathers, right? Or who don't have their sperm donors, right?
Right.
A lot of them also do have a man who stepped up, whether it be a different man who fell in love with their mom or with them, wanting
An
them to
uncle
be
or grandfather,
exactly, some
or a
male
friend of a
figure,
family, something like
some
that.
male
Yeah.
figure that stepped in and said, "I'm going to teach you to be a man."
And then there's also children who have had both parents, but there was also like another family member that was always
Yeah.
there to help out with everything that became the father figure, right?
Yeah.
That helped out with everything in the house and taking care of the kids and taking them on trips and that cool uncle or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So they also
Like you had
become
a cool
father figures.
brother.
I had two cool brothers, but they were totally completely
One was
opposites.
more of a father figure though than the
Oh
other.
no, definitely. One was a brother, one was a father figure. Yes. Yeah, my oldest brother Rick, he was awesome. He was loving. He was caring.
But he's the one who did stuff with you.
Yeah, he was. I remember I told him as a kid that I wanted to call him dad. That I wish he was my dad. Because I loved how he was with my niece and my nephew. I loved how he was with me. It was that the TV dad, like.
So was your brother another example of someone who had hard love from his dad and
Oh, no.
chose to make
you know
his
what?
life different?
So
Chose to raise his kids different.
I don't know. I really feel that my dad really, 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 really
Babied
loved
him?
him.
Okay.
No, loved him. Not
Okay.
babied him.
Okay.
Just loved him. He was a firstborn.
His first son.
His junior. They had the same name.
Same birthday.
Same birthday.
Yeah.
They were like 21 years apart. The same job. They did everything. So I know they butted heads, right? Because it's the first son and they worked together and everything. So they butted heads. But they still had a great relationship. And it was funny because of my dad's side, the way that he talked about him, like he was like a god.
That he could do no wrong.
And then my other brother, he was like the menace.
Yeah. In the second
And then
brother.
I was just like the whatever. So like, each child is different. And we're all different. We act different.
Okay.
But at the same time, I've also heard that he had a better friendship with me than the other ones, which I'm like, damn, that's pretty messed up.
Maybe because you were so far removed from the rest that it was easier to be your friend.
I guess I don't know. How about like your dad? You have three brothers.
Yeah.
How was the relationship between your dad and your brothers?
Honestly, I don't know.
That's right, because
I'm the eldest, and I was out of the house.
But you're still here, like his baby. Like I can see how he talks to you.
Well, yeah, and I'm the only girl,
Right.
so it's a big difference. That's why I said if our girls had been first, how different would it have been, right, for you? Or like I'm the eldest and the only girl, so for my dad, I'm his baby. Like that's
Baby girl,
I'm
yeah.
his baby girl. That's it. There's no other baby girl. So I didn't have any competition. So maybe that's why I'm not into competition, but. But with my brothers, I know I never observed a huge difference when we were kids. Like my recollection is that he was the same with all of us when we were little. But definitely as my brothers got older and they were testing waters and things like that, he tried to be harder with them. I think one of my brothers says that he was really hard with him, like as far as like doing the manly things like yard work and helping work on the car and different things like that. That my dad was a big stickler on. It's your responsibility to learn how to do this and learn to do that. So my dad did differentiate certain things. Like my dad didn't make my brothers wash dishes. That's one of those things where that was definitely more of a girl chore. And cleaning the house and cooking and all that stuff. Even though my dad loved to cook, he never expected my brothers to learn how to do it. Do you know what I mean? So he it was kind of weird because even though he could go between, I guess, both worlds, where you could say that he was masculine in certain aspects where it came to like the home and like building our house, and he was a contractor and then working on the landscaping in the household and things like that, and working on cars. And so he was very masculine in that sense. And there were many times when he was absent because he was away for work, and even the fairgrounds, when he was running the fairgrounds in Minnesota or Wisconsin, and he'd be gone for those trips. But when he was home, he played with all of us equally. Do you know what I mean? At least when we were little. So he was loving and affectionate, and he definitely instilled a sense of who we are. You're a girl, you're a boy. This is what is expected of you. This is what is expected of you. But with me, he made me learn before I could drive. I think maybe I've mentioned this before, but before I could get my license, I had to learn how to drive a stick shift and change my own oil, because he said that if I ever got stranded, he wanted to make sure I knew how to drive a stick shift, because that might be the only vehicle available. And he wanted to make sure that I could change my oil, because a man might not always be available, or I might not always be able to afford to change, to take it in to get done. So he wanted to make sure that I knew how to do that. He taught me how to do woodwork and sand things and use tools. And he did this with all of us, but I was the eldest, so I did a lot of things with him. He made sure my brothers knew chemistry. He's the one who enforced homework in our household. It wasn't my mom that enforced the homework.
But see,
it
those
was
are,
my dad.
and in a way, those are different things, right?
Yeah.
So in my house, what was it? Punch that damn bag, go for runs, grab that shovel. Where my house is the hard labor.
Yeah, hard labor.
Right? It was something different.
Yeah, my dad was more academic and spiritual. Like we had to go to church. There was no choice.
Different type of man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Different background, different thing, right? Your grandfather was a man, whiskey, cigars, women.
Yeah. He
tough
was
love.
He was a womanizer.
Yeah. A different thing.
Yeah.
His son, completely the opposite.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
religious,
you said, the apple fell
family.
far from the tree.
Yeah. I guess it's now that we're saying that, I guess that's the cycle, right?
Yeah.
My dad was like, hey, same thing. Party, drunk, women, fast cars, whatever. I got a little bit of that, and but I had the sports. I wanted to be sports was my thing. I loved sports. None of my damn boys play sports.
I think we've said that the girls are going to be the ones who play the sports.
But it's like I get mad. Like, no, this is how you grab a rake. This is how you grab the shovel.
Yeah.
Yet I showed the baby one time this weekend, and she's literally shoveling and sweeping.
Well,
and
that
I'm
was
like,
something my dad was teaching us too. Like if we didn't sweep correctly, he would make us do it again. He would stand there and teach us how to do it. Again, these are all things my dad did. And then I've read in different articles where that's the importance of a father. A father teaches you how to do things and how to do them right. That's the role of father, how to live life. What do you have to do to survive in this world? That's the role of a father. Whereas a mother is nurturing and loving, in general, the role is that a mother is supposed to be nurturing and loving to give you that emotional support and push you to be better. Whereas a father is the one who's, okay, we're going to do this, and this is how you do it. And I'm going to watch you a couple times do it, or you're going to sink or swim, just depending on the personality. But he's the one who is like, this is how it's done, and this is what you have to learn to do to survive.
So that's where I was going. It's funny how you're saying, like your dad, how he was with your brothers like that, which is different than you, right? Mm-hmm. And then you talk about how your grandfather was so hard on him, but I know your aunt, and I know the love like that she has for her father and how he treated her, right? So it's funny. We said it before, like fathers are different with the daughters, and they're harder with the sons. Mm-hmm. You say even with me, like I'm different with the girls, but I'm harder with the boys. And it's one of those things, right, where we have to teach them to be men because we know that they're getting babied by their moms.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we know that our girls are getting tough love from their moms because they were expecting them to be women. So then we end up treating them like princes.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So all that, I think as a dad, like for me at moments, and I'm like, my true love is the girls.
Yeah.
That's that.
And it could be argued that for moms, their true loves are
that
their sons.
unconditional love that, like for me, that's needy, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't have a mom, and I want to find a girl that's perfect, and that she loves me.
And the girl that's perfect is your girls.
Me. Yeah.
Because they're an extension of you.
And she's affectionate, and she's like, and, the wife might be mad at you or whatever, but your daughters are always like, daddy, daddy, daddy.
At least
daddy.
for now.
Yeah, for now, right? Until they're like, you won't let me date that boy. Give me your credit card. and that's just the thing with the boys, right? Like the dads are hard with the boys because, like you said, I need you to be a man. I need you to, work on this. I need you to learn how to do this. Be sufficient to do this. You don't need no one. You need to build your own house. You need to. Is that a primal thing? Is that like a genetic thing?
I mean, there's articles out there that say it is. That say it's in our nature. It's ingrained in us somewhere. That men do certain things because they have to provide and protect, whereas women raise the kids.
When we were dating, and I made that joke earlier, you told me it's like man always, something that you had studied. You said men always look at women and whatever qualities they find attractive is what like they want to kind of procreate with them because their strong offspring, right?
Yeah.
So each guy looks for something different that they're attracted to, right? And that's what they want. So I was like, is that another one of those primal things also, right?
Yeah.
So then
because
the man look at the quality of a woman and says, okay, that will give me a good male offspring.
Well,
right?
Back in the day when they thought the women controlled it, yeah, sure.
I'm talking about cavemen. They didn't even know this.
They didn't even know. Well, they didn't even know it during Henry VIII, which is why he killed all his wives or divorced them. But
that was a divorce. Honey.
The divorce was
killed
death.
them.
Yeah. But I mean, it hasn't been that long that we know now that men are actually the ones who decide whether it's a boy or. I mean, they don't decide,
babe.
but
it's based on the full moon and the position.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the day and time. Yeah. But I ultimately, though, where was I going with this? What did you say again? I lost
Being
my train
primal.
of thought. Being primal. Yeah, it's ingrained in us. Like, we are born with that distinction, right? Because I think if there was supposed to be no distinction, we would all be born with gender neutral parts. And we're not. Till the day that people are born gender neutral parts completely, there is a distinction.
So wouldn't they
right?
be able to self-procreate?
I have no idea how it'll work. You'd have to ask an alien.
Wait, isn't there an animal, a reptile or something like that does that?
Yeah. There's amphibians who do that. The amphibians usually do
okay.
that. Amphibians will
So
turn.
do they celebrate Father's Day or Mother's Day?
I'm pretty sure they don't celebrate any of it. So, but point being that yes, it is ingrained in our DNA somewhere. Our parents, because right, the parent is the tribe, the parent's the household. The influences of the parent are going to be what ultimately teaches us who we are and where we belong in this world.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I'm going to change gears here. Why do you think that Father's Day came in seventh?
Because of all the absent dads. I think there's so many absent dads in the world that they just lost their place. And it's not just absent physically, it's absent emotionally. Because kids, especially little kids, thrive on that attention. They thrive, even if it's different than a mom's love, right? It doesn't even have to be what we call a papacho. I don't know how to say that in English. Where to cuddle. Yeah. It's not even that type. Like a little kid, just like you've said, your dad maybe didn't go to sporting events, but a dad who does, even if he's not the "I love you, come here," hugging and kissing type of dad, the fact that he shows up for things that are important to the child, that is a huge thing.
I know you said that. It made me think about, isn't it funny how like when you see professional sports or whatever now, you see athletes, they're grown men and they're like, "Hi mom," always to the camera.
Yeah.
Right? But then when you're a kid, you're always like, "Dad, look at me. Dad,
You
look at
want
me.
your dad's
Dad,
attention.
Look at me," right?
So if you grow up without that attention, I mean, not all people turn out horrible. I mean, there's many, many people in this world who were raised by just women and they've turned out great. But then there's also many who don't. And the fact that there's so many fathers who are absent on a whole spectrum absent fathers financially, there's absent fathers emotionally, and there's absent fathers presence, right? They're not there at all. And I think that's why it's seventh place, why it's so far down the totem pole. And it's unfortunate for
You don't-
those fathers who are present.
You don't think it can be more of those because it's the father, like you were saying in the beginning, and to them that's their job. So they don't.
could
they
be
don't
that
want,
too.
They don't want to
That's
be. They don't
definitely.
need the attention. They don't. They're not. They're not attention whores.
But
They're like,
you're
"Hey,
an
I'm doing my
attention
job."
whore. You definitely want to be
Not an attention
recognized.
whore.
Yes, you
Not
are.
attention whore. How dare you?
So it's I honestly think it's more that maybe back in the day, when it first started and where all these fathers were like, we don't need this attention, that's our job, and I really don't want to pay for things for myself.
That's my thing. Like, I mean, bottom line, I saw this joke and it was hilarious to me because it's not that I'm an attention whore, right? I love my family, I love my kids. Like, it's like, but if they are like the whole, it's not even their birthday, and they're, you know what I want for my birthday, you know what I want for my birthday, you know, and their birthday comes like, you know what I want for Christmas, you know what I want. So it's like, I just kind of doing it back to them. It's like, oh, well, Father's just around the corner. Whatever,
But you do it to me too, and I never ask for anything.
Well, yeah, you're hard. You're hard. But I know it's usually some appliance.
I'm still waiting for my cowgirl boots.
I told you, just go get them.
Well, but the point being that, you're...
You interrupted me. I lost my train of thought. But I was going to say, yeah, what was I saying? Attention whores and...
Yeah, you were saying that you're not an attention whore.
I lost it. I'm sorry.
My
I was going somewhere
I was
with it.
joking with you.
Yeah, I was going somewhere with it. But no, yeah, it's just... Yeah, well, that's their job. I mean, I think I see it like that. Like,
Is that why
job.
you think it's seventh? Why do you think it's seventh?
Well, because that's where we're going. Thank you. More of the as men, we kind of keep a lot of things in because that's how we were raised to be.
Yeah,
it's been a cycle that's been going on forever. So you're not gonna voice like, oh well, I want this, I want that, do this for me, do that for me. And that was my job. I had to deal with it, So a lot of times it's kind of like with you, like I was like, oh, call your dad. It's like, no, it's not fair for him to drive all the way over here. Or why would he drive over here? It's like, but he would like that. Like he
the mentality, the idea of it.
Yeah, we're too proud to come out and say it, but if you put it out there, definitely. I mean, deep down inside, we do want love and attention. We do want to feel loved and appreciated, but we're not gonna be asking for it. But if you're willing to give it to a father, they'll take it.
But is that a detriment though? Like, is it a bad thing that dads don't ask for love and attention?
It is, because it affects our mental health. Maybe that's why mental health awareness or men's health awareness is on the month of Father's Day.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed, society has told us, our parents have told us that you got to be a man, you got to buck up, you got to suck it up, you can't show that's weakness, keep it inside. And eventually some of us break down. So
it's so funny because psychologically there's so much to that, and then what that leads to, or could possibly lead to, and it just takes me back to the whole weak men create hard times.
I just feel very frustrated nowadays because like it does feel like there's a lot of weak men, a lot of things that are said and they get easily offended and hurt, and then you end up, I don't know, losing your job or getting suspended or losing a family member or friends because of a joke or a comment.
Is it possible that you take it too far though?
We're supposed to be men. It's like no such thing as taking it too far.
So is it okay for men, for fathers, to have moments of weakness?
I think it's part of humanity. We're humans.
It's part of human nature, right?
Yeah.
We can only take so much before the cup spills over.
Yeah. We should be allowed to have a moment of weakness.
Yeah. It's just
cry.
But what about those men who are always
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's just maybe those are the ones that got, too many participation trophies or too much love and attention. Mommy always telling them that it's their world and everybody should cater to them.
Okay.
I don't know.
Or, I mean, because I've heard of men who were raised by that tough love, like extreme tough love, like maybe to the point that they were abused. And that's why they're the way they are now, the softness that they are is because of that. What do you say to those fathers?
Are you calling me soft?
Why'd you throw a balloon at me?
I'm trying to fight. I was being a man.
He flicked a balloon at my
Who
face.
you calling soft? Backstory:
I'm
our
not
kids
saying-
got balloons and they've been painting faces and stuff like that. So our whole house is full of random balloons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had a balloon here.
Well, I'm not calling you soft because I mean you have your moments of softness.
No, and I was saying
Is it because there has to be a balance? There should be a balance.
there's always a balance in the force.
Well, there should be a balance in the force,
Yeah.
but it's kind of been lacking the last several years.
Yeah, it has. It definitely has. And you can look at it psychologically, spiritually. There's a big imbalance. You can look at it dorky, like I just made the joke about the force, right?
Yeah.
There's so much weakness out there that the darkness is starting to
Take over
to a certain point. And
So
that
then-
darkness could either be like a political agenda or a spiritual or a sexual orientation or whatever you want to look at it, right? Or extremist religion that are going to take advantage of the weakness.
Yeah.
And I think we might just end up losing ourselves in that moment. So it's going to be the hard time.
This is the hard times
Yeah.
that were created by the weak men.
Yeah. So sometimes
Or are being created by
maybe
weak
the
men because
dads
we
just
have
needed to
many
be
weak
that
men.
tough. Yeah. Maybe that tough love is needed after all. Maybe that.
But again, it's a balance, It's not where you want to be abusive, It's not where a parent should be or a father should be abusive with their children, but definitely instilling a sense of responsibility and place.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Like,
just thinking, like,
who are you in the pack?
What? Yeah, but what's the job of a dad? What's
To
the job
provide
of a
and
father?
protect.
Right? Yeah. So,
If you're not providing and you're not protecting your family, you're not protecting your children.
but you also have to be a teacher.
Yeah, and that's true. My dad was our teacher.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's just not just about whatever, not just school, like life, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like my experiences, our father's experience, it becomes a lesson to the children. We
On
just
it, Dad.
watched a movie, and it was like perfectly described how our family, our dynamic is.
Mm-hmm.
They had 4 kids.
2 boys, 2 girls.
And it's a mom that's very spiritual, and then you
Kinda
have that
feisty.
dad who is military, hard ass, right? Or disciplined. Different with the girls, tougher with the boys, right? And throughout the movie, it's like my job is to get them ready and to protect them, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, he's not wrong. Like he's not wrong, right?
He's not wrong.
So we're talking about that new Avatar movie. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't care for it, and I actually watched it, and I was like, I can relate to this. I get it. It struck a chord because that's exactly how it is. As a father, that's my job as a father. I was like, you're nailing it. Like, nailed it right in the head. That's how I think. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
I know. And even the kids were like, oh, dude, that's you. That's me. And even the girls, that
kids,
one's me.
They identified us as they were watching it to this movie.
They were like, oh, that sounds like that.
personality.
Oh, that's that. Yeah, that's definitely me. Like, oh, that's definitely you. The same way.
And you expect them to say, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You expect them to follow rules and follow the direction.
And through the movie, right, every time the kids messed up, they're like, oh, man, he's going to kill us. Like, oh, damn, I didn't do what I was supposed to.
Yeah.
But you see how those kids were free to roam
Yeah.
and learn.
Yeah.
We
We don't have that.
And we can't have that. We
can't.
try. We try with them as much as we can, but it's a different environment.
It's a different world.
Yeah.
Completely. That one's make believe on a different
Oh
planet.
no, yeah, definitely, yeah. But it's.
I
just
mean,
one of those
we
things.
always talk about, there's so many families out there who talk about raising their kids free range, right? So, and they're out in the middle of nowhere raising their kids on farms, and it's a different life versus living in a city or even living in the suburbs, and there's no tribe.
Right.
Each family unit is their own, and like you said, in this movie, the father was like, I can't protect the tribe, but I can protect you guys. Mm-hmm. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, his family. His family is what matters, right? Mm-hmm. That's who you have to protect. That's your first priority.
Yeah.
Every father's first priority is protect his wife and his children.
Every father's priority should be to protect his children.
Yeah. So, so in that aspect, I have dads out there, give it a try for Father's Day. I don't know, sit there and watch that with your wife and kids.
The new Avatar.
Yeah, it's
water.
long as hell, but
Yes.
but in the whole father, I think it's
a good father movie, and even on the bad guy aspect, right?
Oh yeah,
because even the protagonist in the movie. Oh, I guess I won't spoil it.
No, it gets covered right immediately when the beginning of the movie.
He's a father figure as well, and basically knowing that you're a father and that there's this being that you created, how that changes you, if even a little.
I mean, I'm telling you, like, me becoming a father changed me completely. Like, your life completely changes if the moment you hold a kid in your hands. It just.
But
and each time it just changed me more and more.
But what about for those fathers who it doesn't change?
It's no different than those mothers that we talked about also, you know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't change. They're just built different. There's something wrong with their medulla oblongata. Yeah, you know, we've been going on in this conversation, and there's a lot of things that we can keep on going, and it definitely went the way I was not expecting. I was supposed to be a lot of funny and joking and drafting best father figures, and
we can still do that real quick before we finish.
But so I'm sorry if I made some of you sad, or this is not a fun one for you guys. But I apologize for nothing. And
make up your mind.
No, I mean.
But that's fathers. The reality is that fathers are the fun ones, right? Usually, not always. Usually, fathers are more fun than the moms. Fathers are
we're big kids.
You are big kids, huge kids. I'm constantly reminded every day how big of a kid you are, and not just by you, but even by our own children. But what's sad is that, like you said, fathers are not recognized. You're a stepfather, not just a father. So that's a big role to take on that responsibility, right? To take them in as your own child.
The oldest. She means the world to me too. You know, she taught me how to be a dad, and she still gives me my place, even though she knows that I'm not biologically her dad. But
yeah,
our relationship's still beautiful.
Yeah, she still calls you often.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine why nobody would want someone as gorgeous as her in their life. You know, she's precious. She's beautiful. They're all beautiful.
Yeah,
all children are beautiful.
But the fact that
they need to know it.
There's people out there, there's men out there who don't want to be men, who don't want to step up to the plate. And
what was that line in Boys in the Hood? I remember watching that as a movie, and it really, Lawrence Fishburne really cut me. I get that any fool with a dick can make a child, but it takes a real man to raise one.
I don't know.
It was something like that, and I was like, man, that's deep. Like, even as a kid, I picked up on that, you know, because. I don't know, maybe it was a relationship with my dad. I was like, yeah, man, he made me, but...
So would that be one of your top dads for your...
Oh, that was some tough love in that movie right there. He's a great father figure, actually, if you think about it. But it's different. Mm-hmm. It's different, but yeah.
Major Pain.
Major Pain is awesome, too. I will be sensitive. That's what I need to say to his needs.
So who are your top father figures in movies?
Well, I got to go with my real father, who he will always be my number one.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
You know, my real father. I like to think that my real father, my sperm donor, is out there, and the like guy that I call dad or chief. He's not my biological father, and that's why he treated me the way he did, because he found out that my mother cheated on him with Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone.
Hey. Yeah. So yeah, for me, Rocky Balboa is always going to be the best father. I think in my mind, he had any movie, you know, like when his kid, when he talks to them, when he talks to him, you know, the stuff he says to him when he's, was it Rocky 5 and even on Rocky 3, I think, and 4. No, 4 and 5. Like 4, he's a little kid, but the way he talks to him and everything, I thought that was nice. 5, he drops some little knowledge on him when he's jealous of Tommy, and then, you know, the other ones, you know, like it's not about how hard you get hit, you know, it's about how fast you get up, you know.
Yeah.
That's what quitters do. Like that whole speech right there, like. I was like, I know you meant it for me, Dad. I know you're talking to me right now.
Who else?
Man. I don't know. You gave me one. I just gave you one.
Let me see. Well, I'm just gonna go with Sully. Jake Sully from this
from
last
the movie
from Avatar.
Yeah, that was a good father figure right there.
He is a good father figure. That's the most recent one.
What would be movies you recommend somebody to watch for Father's Day?
Onward.
Okay. So Onward's a good one. All right. Write this down.
You're going to write this down?
Write it down.
Okay, Onward. You said Rocky.
I'm always going to go with Rocky. Romantic
yeah, I know,
or
for
whatever.
Everything.
What else you got?
I was joking about Major Payne, but...
You're going to put Major Payne as a good father figure?
I don't know. I don't know if he's a good father figure.
I don't think so. I was thinking something with Anthony Hopkins.
With The Legend of the Fall?
Legends of the Fall, but is it really a good father movie?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean, he's the father. He has 3 boys. I mean, I do love that movie. It's a good movie.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Hawkeye's a good father figure to protecting. He's all about protecting his family.
Oh, okay. I got one. So I got Rocky. So it's a long ass movie. I'm gonna go with what's that? The fire one with John Cena and the fire mansion one.
Oh my gosh.
The kids like.
I don't it's what's it called?
My Little Pony.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that movie. The kids really enjoy it. Well, if you're gonna go there, so is Daddy's Home a good movie?
No, that is a great movie. Daddy's Home 2.
Daddy's Home 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part 2. That's a good one. Okay, you want to put that one for you? I guess you brought that one up.
Daddy's Home.
That is a great father's movie. What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. It's a sad movie, but he was a good, loving father. Enough that his kids remember everything that he told them story-wise, and they become people that are guiding them in the afterlife.
That's so sad.
What about Big Daddy?
I guess. I mean, it doesn't start out. It doesn't start out so great.
Yeah, because remember the whole thing about the dad.
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Oh my God, I give it. That is a good one too. All right.
That's
look at that. Boys in the Hood came in at number 19. Taken. The Godfather. Yeah. What about Grown Ups? I'm bringing up another Adam Sandler movie. Grown Ups
as a father?
Because we get to see a whole bunch of like different fathers.
The different types of dads.
Yeah, right. We have.
Yeah, that's a good dad movie because it is really mostly about them.
Right. So you got like the Hollywood agent kind of rich dad, and then you have
the stay-at-home dad.
Yeah, you have the stay-at-home dad, and
the dad that's pretending to have more than he really has.
Then you have the mama's boy that's a dad, right? Then you have the one that's always want to be the bachelor, not knowing how to be a dad, right? To Bjorn.
Yes. And then you got the hippie dad.
The one that likes the older women.
Yes. That's a good one. Oh, well, there is a lot of movies out there. I guess it just it took us a minute. Yeah, we didn't really think about.
But there's not really like good ones, like good father movies. I mean, Rocky's really not a great father movie, too. I mean, it's more of a love story, honestly. But to me,
to you, it's a love story.
I mean, it's nice with the son. Like, it has nice moments with the son. It's a good family movie, just kind of like The Godfather. So then I guess we were just saying father movies. For now, that we agree in is Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Onward.
Onward. Avatar.
The new one.
Yeah, the new Avatar. The Way of the Water, I think it's called. To watch with the family. And Daddy's Home.
Daddy's Home. Yeah.
Part 2,
And you
and then the
said
grown-ups.
Grown-ups. Okay.
Part 2 also.
All right. Because they're funny.
Yeah.
The extreme things that dads have gone through to keep their families happy, right?
I forgot. I got one. Oh, Mary Poppins, yo.
That's a really good one. We love that movie. We love Yondu. He's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Good
Mary
job,
Poppins,
baby.
yo.
Good job remembering.
Yeah, and tell us, like, how do you celebrate your Father's Day? What do you guys do? Do you do anything for your fathers? I mean, obviously my wife is over here debating about not calling her dad to drive out here to see her.
I just feel bad. I just feel like that's not showing him love, making him come here. Like,
Correct.
I still think we should go see him.
Yeah, well, then go see him.
Well, I can't go on Father's Day without you.
Go ahead. He's your father. I'm not.
You're my husband.
Well, you can leave my kids with me. Make me pay for my mistakes.
That's not the point.
Or
yeah,
you just take them with you and let me have
Danny,
a day to myself as on Father's Day.
I thought you were going to have, slaves bringing you beers all day long. He told the kids that he's the role on Father's Day is they're going to have to, he's going to stick his hand out and they're going to just have to magically appear beers into his hand.
Yeah, like if I drink so much beers.
I know, but that's what you told them. So.
Yeah, it's just a joke.
Well, they've been practicing.
I mean,
bringing you your mineral waters.
For my father, his birthdays usually ended up being on Father's Day.
That's true.
So then,
it was a big celebration.
So it was a big.
That's what you're used to for Father's Day, but we don't do that.
No, because you guys don't appreciate fathers. That's
not because we don't appreciate you. You always say like, "Oh, you guys don't need to celebrate me." And what do I tell our 10-year-old? Don't tell me no because I won't do it, and then you go and change your mind.
Well, you say he's a lot like me, so then
yes,
you
it's
should know already.
extremely annoying. It's very frustrating.
The thing that's happened every time, also for my birthday, I like to do marathons of movies.
Yes,
I like to. It's like, okay, it's my day. I can do whatever I want. All right, I want to watch some movies, so I want to watch this. Right, you guys sit down and watch it with me. I don't think you guys have sat down and watched movies with me since we had that Terminator marathon, and we only had 3 kids at the time, and one of them was a baby. So she had no choice but to sit there and sleep watching Terminator.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah. I mean, party-wise, we can do a party. It's just us. It'll be like a normal weekend day, which is fine by me. I mean, you guys are my family. That's all I have. I find myself debating if I should call my dad for Father's Day. And wishing a happy birthday, especially since our daughter keeps on asking about him. Which is weird to me, especially these last couple of days. I think about it like, wouldn't I want my kids to call me? And I would.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
Even if you're mad at them for 7 years?
Yeah. But that's the difference between him and me, right? I love my children. I know that I love them. I know that I shown them.
Would you ever shun them the way he does you?
Probably.
So then the apple did not fall too far from the tree. Well, we wish you all a happy Father's Day in whichever way you celebrate it.
I hope you get celebrated, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you get your special gifts, your Legos or your Star Wars toys or your video games or your car part or your gun or your rifle or your crossbow or your bow.
I think he's giving me a list of things he wants.
No.
He's already asked me for stuff. He wants more model kits to
hunting
build.
Tags or sound systems or bass or guitars or...
What happened to bow ties and nice shoes?
Yeah, and
watches.
And ties and watches and
cologne.
And colognes and BJs. The diner.
It's not what you meant at all.
The sampler.
All the dads out there know exactly what you meant, especially because that's all that keeps popping up on the damn Instagram feeds. All these dads joking about that.
Oh, my goodness.
So if all the men are joking about it, it must be a thing. I think that's how we're going to end it. So if you guys think of any great father movies, please
let us know.
Let us know.
Recommend some movies. But sorry, we rambled on again.
Wishing you a happy Father's Day once again.
Happy Father's Day, guys. Have a good one.
Take care.
Peace.
Bye.